What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Light back here with another YouTube video. In today's video we're going to be doing Batman Year 1 review here on the channel. So yeah, just a quick, not disclaimer, but a quick thing to say is this will not be like talking about like a movie or anything. This will be strictly talking about the book and its book review. It's already had an animated movie, so there's no real point in speaking about why I think this should be a movie or anything like that. It's already had an animated movie and everything. So yeah, anyways. Let's get into it. So yeah. Oh yeah. So the artists and the writers for this book was Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. I think that's how I pronounce his name, but I could be wrong there. If I am, sorry about that. And it's with Richmond Lewis. Uh, yeah, and it's known as one of the more better stories from Frank Miller. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Frank Miller. I think he's a really cool comic artist, and he was also comic writer, and also he was a comic artist, but he's transitioned to more to a writer for now. But I don't remember exactly if he is the artist for this, or if he's like either a little bit of art drawing, because the art looks very similar to like Daredevil Born Again, or not Born Again, sorry, the Frank Miller run on Daredevil, and also his Dark Knight Returns too. So I'm not too sure if David Mazzucchelli was in that too as well, but yeah. Anyways, let's get into this. So yeah, Batman Year One tells the origin story, or not, it tells a bit of like the origin story of Batman and a retelling of his origin, mixed with like his first year as, of course, Batman, and we also get some a little bit of origin from Commissioner Gordon and also Catwoman as their, like, technically it's their kind of year one too, on their respective jobs, like as a police commissioner, as like the cat burglar, I guess you call it. Uh, yeah, so I thought this was definitely interesting. Personally, right off the bat, it was definitely a very good comic. Really enjoyed it, especially with the sense especially if you know his origin story. This still doesn't affect this book. I think it was still cool. I even saw the movie before I read this. I'm gonna be full on honest, I did. But I think this book just seems a lot better. I know Year One, the movie, is definitely a very good movie and stuff like that. But at the same time, I personally liked and enjoyed the comic a little bit more. That's just what I enjoyed more. Uh, Definitely some stuff I liked right off the bat. I definitely liked how they tied in some other familiar Batman characters. They didn't introduce many of the villains or anything like that. They more so were introducing like the protagonist kind of initially. I know Catwoman's not really a protagonist. Same with it's the supporting characters of Batman as well. Because they didn't do it solely on Batman. Like, yeah, we did see some stuff for Batman's origin, like his parents, of course, dying and everything like that. But we weren't seeing him as a child or anything like that. I presume he just came back to Gotham and was basically readying up to be Batman. So we didn't see a whole lot in terms of that, but I still think they did a good, just enough. But we were seeing a lot more of origin story from James Gordon. We also seeing a lot more perspective from him. So I thought that was really cool as well. We were kind of seeing the book starts off right as he gets into Gotham, and he joins the GCPD as he was just transferred there. We also see Catwoman in the story too, which was interesting. We didn't see a whole lot of Catwoman, but we saw just enough to like, yeah, you could see how her life is pretty hard, and you could see like, yeah, why does she burgle as Catwoman? You kind of see why and stuff like that, and just like where she learned that. You could also tell too. Batman even said it like she. I can't remember if he said like she learned a fighting style or something, but then he's like, I've learned more fighting styles or whatever, and that was it. That was an interesting line as well. That kind of shows some stuff. We also see like Catwoman has some common decency, as like she was helping out a little girl who was also working there, and that was kind of interesting as well. You could kind of see like she's acting a bit heroic, but at the same time she's like she doesn't have orders, and she doesn't have like priorities right in terms of, like she's robbing people and stuff like that. So you kind of like see that as well. from her character. James Gordon, like you definitely see some interesting stuff. I could see also a lot of stuff they borrowed, Gotham took from this show in terms of James Gordon's character. Like you could see he's very protective of Barbara Gordon, or I don't know, her name's Barbara Keene. Technically, that's her maiden name, but you could see like he's very protective of her. He doesn't want anything, and people obviously threaten him with her, and there's a lot of that. Another thing I found interesting as well is the whole Flash thing. I thought that was very necessary to show kind of the story of like Flash just resembled Gotham, to be honest with you guys, like very corrupt, very like slummy, and just bad all around. So I thought Flash was definitely a very interesting character. Same with Commissioner Loeb. I'm not too sure if you pronounce the B at the end. Just because I've seen people pronounce it with the B and I've seen people pronounce it without the B, so I'm not too sure exactly what you say when it's Loeb or Low. So yeah, uh, so yeah, it was interesting to see a take on him as well. And of course, like I thought it was interesting to showcase Batman and like how he's come to the way he is, with like how he's intelligent, how he's like so proficiently, like he could fight very proficiently, where he gets his senses from, everything like that. Like in the comic and stuff, he's like walking around the place, scoping out surroundings and stuff, and like you see that a lot during the comic, and I think that's very very interesting. Like he walks around just as Bruce Wayne and stuff. You also see stuff with Bruce Wayne, the way he acts like on purpose. Another thing Gotham kind of borrowed from this is that like Bruce purposely acts like a spoiled like jerk basically, on purpose, so no one suspects him of being Batman. Like you even see in the comic, Gordon suspects maybe he would be Batman, but then he's like, I don't think that could be happening because he's kind of like a not a jerk, but like careless, I would say. So that was very interesting to see as well. I thought was pretty interesting. Uh, yeah, again, interesting to see the origins of all these characters and everything. Even with the ending, we saw an iconic scene from actually Batman Begins when Batman's on the rooftop and he's just like, yeah, there's this guy and his name is Joker, but he actually name drops him. So yeah, that was interesting to see that kind of be pulled out a little bit from the comic. Uh, of course, we also see like the bond between Batman and Gordon a little bit more when James Gordon is like helping out Batman and everything. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Now to say like the spotted things I've seen in like movies or whatever. First things first, there was a scene in this book or panel where Batman is basically fighting the bombs. The bomb squad or SWAT's basically gone in, and so is Gordon. Then he uses the bats and basically walks around, and the bats like swarm the SWAT people and stuff. That's taken right. Batman Begins actually has that scene in there, so it's actually interesting to see that happen. I think was pretty cool to see that totally thing happen there. Again, with that ending scene and ending panel, just we get an intro a little bit to Joker, so that's pretty interesting. Another thing they kind of took out. You could also see some inspiration behind Bruce Wayne and James Gordon's character in the Gotham show. You could see that as well. Uh, and yeah, that's basically it. I know they already made an animated movie. Animated movie actually wasn't too bad. It was pretty good for what it was. I haven't seen it in a little bit, so I'm not too sure exactly how accurate it is. But I remember key plot points from that and everything. So yeah, uh, yeah. So there was that, of course. Any critiques I have of it? Not really. I maybe actually a little bit. I wish we could have gotten maybe a little bit more of Bruce Wayne slash Batman. I think it would have been much better. Like just a tiny bit more. But other than that, it was pretty good. Another thing too is maybe we could have gotten a bit more better of an intro, maybe into some other like a Batman villain or something. But at the same time, it's not a huge deal. because I know most of his villains, his role gallery, if you want to say, mostly comes in like year two and like later on down the line usually. So I mean, I understand why they did this the way they did. Yeah, so that was pretty interesting. Just a quick recommendation: if you've never like if you're new to superheroes or anything, I highly recommend reading Year One first. I think it does again. I think it does a very good introduction to Batman if you don't know the character. But yeah, still very good comic, really enjoyable. I think it's awesome. But anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.